After being abducted by aliens, former Navy SEAL Adam Cain managed to escape his capturers, and now roams the galaxy trying to make a living as an alien assassin. Being both a human and a SEAL, Adam is uniquely qualified for his new profession. Adam loves his work. He's already pissed off at aliens for taking him away from Earth, leaving his wife and young daughter to think he'd been killed on his last mission. Now, he was going to make the aliens pay for the bad mood he's in. Adam Cain had an alien to kill. Yet before he set out on the mission, his training dictated that he take inventory of his equipment and check his weapons. Adam was in a pressurized hotel room in the Hildorian city of Jaxus with a full array of energy weapons and other tactical gear spread out on the bed. Although the tactics and strategies from his Navy SEAL training had very little carryover to his present occupation, the habits developed during his military years were hard to break. So with methodical precision, Adam went down the mental checklist while steeling his resolve for the mission. His formidable weapons cache ranged from the standard Mk-17 and XF flash rifle up to his prized Mk-47 high-energy bolt launcher. The 47 had cost him nearly an entire commission, but it was well worth it. As the top of the line for plasma handguns, the weapon boasted a standard level 1 charge of 20 bolts, and its targeting computer carried the fastest rating in its class. Personally, Adam never used the targeting assist, but just carrying the 47 often gave those out to challenge him second thoughts. Honestly, Adam didn't care if they made good with their challenges or not. He would kill anything that walked, slithered, or crawled in this god-forsaken galaxy. In fact, Adam often called himself the Exterminator and felt as much remorse when he made a hit as the Orcan man back home did when he wiped out a colony of termites. Adam lifted the 47, feeling its weight and the comfort of the grip. All his pistol grips were customized, as was the stock on his Sci-fi flash rifle. With over 8,000 species in the Durian expansion, weapons manufacturers had to provide an extensive selection of grips and stocks to fit the variety of hands, tentacles, and even robotic nerve attachments of their customers. Fortunately, human-style hands were quite common. Still, each of his weapons had custom-formed grips molded to fit his hands exactly. Adam Cain was a professional and nothing but the best would satisfy him. For the past 3 days, he had wriggled into the uncomfortable pressure suit to scout his target. His name was Kunler Bunnet, and he was a high-level gang leader who had offended an even higher-level gang leader sometime in the past. Now he had to pay the price. As it was back on Earth, most gang hits were within and between the gangs themselves. Adam didn't care. He was a human. As long as they paid, he would kill. It was the only thing he was good at. Satisfied that all was in order, Adam packed up the tools of his trade and placed them in one of the 2 backpacks on the bed, while reserving the 47 for his oiled leather holster. Next, he strapped the clear plastic breathing cup over his nose and scooped up the other knapsack from the bed. Lastly, Adam Cain placed the camouflage boonie hat atop his head, the trademark of his SEAL persona, and cinched up the cord under his chin. It was game time. His target lived in a fortified compound on a hill, about 30 clicks outside of town. Adam drove the rented transport to within a kilometer of the house, and after applying streaks of black and green grease to his face, slung the flash rifle across his back and secured 4 slide grenades to the MK's utility belt. Then, with the small knapsack secured across his left shoulder, he set off for the compound, covering the remaining distance in about a minute through a combination of jogging and long leaps in the weak gravity. In fact, gravity was an integral part of his attack plan. Rated at just 0.69 of Durian standard, Adam estimated the gravity of Hildoria to be a little less than half that of Earth's. That was one of the reasons the atmosphere was so thin and the air pressure too low for him to function without the light pressure suit. It also produced a native population that was well over 7 feet tall with barrel chests. Apparently, it required huge lungs to inhale enough oxygen to survive. The singular yellow sun had set by the time Adam reached the compound, and a murky darkness descended on the landscape of thick woods and bristled bushes. The compound itself, however, stood out like a beacon, illuminated by dozens of floodlights, and patrolled by no less than 20 heavily armed guards on both sides of the surrounding wall. The place was hard to miss. His sources had told him Bunnet may have been tipped off regarding the impending hit, and the activity at the compound confirmed it. Adam wasn't concerned. Now it came down to whether or not this would be a surgical strike or an all-out scorched earth campaign. doctors on site would determine which. Either way, the exterminator would get paid. Crouching in a clump of bushes at the tree line, Adam watched as the first set of guards covered their route, flash rifles held casually at their side. Once they passed, Adam dashed off to a point at the wall that was his best point of entry. Leaning against the warm stone surface, he estimated the height of the barrier to be about 5 to 6 meters. Now comes the fun part. Adam jumped straight up, enjoying the brief sensation of flying as he easily reached the top of the wall with his outstretched arms, a move that would have made any NBA center green with envy. Then, in a quick, fluid motion, he swung himself over the top and dropped essentially in slow motion to the ground below. Alarms blared as motion sensors tripped. Adam scrambled to a dark patch of trees and vegetation and lay on the cool, moist ground between the wall and the house. More guards rushed toward the clearing, each armed with flash rifles, their huge size and puffed-out chests creating a menacing scene. Adam took the small knapsack from his shoulder and released the binding cord, opening the pouch. With angry growls, 2 furry creatures, looking like large squirrels with spiked tails, sprung from the bag and ran off into the opening. The guards spotted the animals almost immediately and began chasing after them in a vain attempt to corral the elusive creatures. As planned, one of the guards placed a communicator to his mouth, and a few seconds later the alarms fell silent. The obedient rodents continued their flight to freedom across the opening, with the guards following closely behind. In a low crouch, Adam took off for the house. Without breaking stride, he leaped to the top of a small pagoda-like structure and then onto the roof of the main building. Slipping behind a tall chimney stack, he waited a few moments to see if he'd been spotted. Satisfied that he was unseen, he proceeded along the roof until he came upon a large skylight made of numerous individual glass panes. A dim light filtered up from a single source in the room below. Adam peered over the edge and saw a large bedroom below, with an expansive bed placed to one side, and a dresser and wooden writing desk butted against opposite walls. Kunlar Bunnet, his mark, was seated at the desk, leaning forward slightly with his arms resting on the desktop. Suspecting the skylight frame would be wired for security, Adam removed a roll of tape from his bag and quietly covered one of the glass panes with a large X, leaving a small rise of tape at the center. Next, he took a pen laser, a special one with a muted tip, and silently cut through the glass along the edge of the frame. Next, he lifted the glass away by the tape handle and set it to one side. Adam Cain withdrew his MK-47 from its holster and stood up. Then, after taking a deep breath, he stepped into the skylight opening. He landed with a muffled sound, crouching on one knee and pointing his weapon at Bunnet's back, fully expecting the crime lord to spin in his chair toward the sound. But he didn't move. Adam approached the alien, weapon pressed against his cheek, sighting along the barrel. Still, the crime boss remained motionless. At the side of the desk, Adam leaned over to look at Bunnet's face. The large, beady alien eyes were open, with a look of sheer terror frozen in the yellow orbs, and across his neck was a smooth razor cut, filled with dark, coagulated blood that had soaked into the front of his gold and green shirt. He was dead. But what surprised Adam the most? He was not Bunnet. Another presence was in the room. Adam dove to his left, just as a bolt of electric blue plasma slammed into the desk, sending splinters of wood trailing after him. Rolling on his shoulder, Adam came up on one knee just as a large, boxy figure appeared out of the shadows near the door to the bedroom. He leveled the MK-47 and fired. A shimmering film of blue light quickly enveloped the figure before dissipating. It was a diffusion screen, a device that fed on low-level energy bolts. Shots from his 47 would be unable to penetrate the shield. He needed something larger, like the flash rifle. But before Adam could unsling the weapon, the large figure stepped farther into the room and stopped. He made no threatening moves, so Adam stood up to face his attacker. It was Bunnet, very much alive and encased in a mechanical exosuit, an MK-17 leveled at Adam. The crime boss was smiling. Hildorians often wear exosuits when off-planet to help compensate for the heavier gravity they encounter on nearly every other world in the fringe. The suits are mechanical transports attached to the limbs of the wearer, providing added strength and mobility for their brittle, boned bodies. They also carry their own power supply, to which Bunnet had linked the diffusion screen. Because of their need for an external power source, the shields are impractical for personal protection unless one has an exosuit handy.
So you are the assassin Emic sent to kill me?
Bunnet's voice was smooth and flowery, and Adam noticed how the movements of his mouth didn't sync with the words he heard, an effect of the translation bug Adam had implanted behind his right ear. Adam remained silent, yet he jerked his head around at the sound of metal shutters clamping over the windows to the bedroom, effectively trapping him in the room with the mechanically enhanced Hildorian crime boss.
As you see, I have been expecting you.
Bundet said.
I have my sources as well, and I can assure you there are plans underway that will leave Satanamic paying a very steep price for sending you against me.
Adam heard the servos whine as Bundet stepped forward until he was only a few feet from the human. With the alien nearly 8 feet tall to begin with, in the exosuit he was a truly intimidating figure, towering over Adam by a good 3 feet or more.
I have prior knowledge of you.
The alien continued, confident in his control of the situation.
At times I have even considered enlisting your services for my own ends.
You should have,
Adam said.
You would have lived longer.
A look of confusion crossed the alien's face.
You appear not to realize the hopeless position you are in, assassin. I am speaking with the already dead, and I have options as to how I will bring about your demise. I can either shoot you, or I could rip you apart limb by limb and revel in your agony. I believe I prefer the second option.
Adam smiled, which didn't fit into the Hildorian's vision he had of this moment. Here we go again, Adam thought. Then aloud he said,
Bring it on, asshole.
Against the diffusion shield, the bolts from the weapon in Adam's hand were useless, so instead of firing, he reeled back and heaved the gun at the huge mechanical contraption only a few feet away. Since the weapon carried no electrical charge of its own, the MK passed effortlessly through the screen and struck Bundet's hand with the force of a sledgehammer, knocking the alien's weapon away. Bundet roared with anger and pain as he lurched forward while swinging his right arm, the exosuit adding quickness and agility. It wasn't enough. Adam easily blocked the blow before stepping forward and lifting the entire mechanical alien contraption off the floor and tossing it to his right. Automatic balance controls allowed the unit to remain upright, but now Bundet was twisted around with Adam behind him. But rather than attack, Adam simply waited for his opponent to regain his bearings and spin around. The smile was gone from Bundet's face.
You missed.
Adam mocked through a wide, toothy grin of his own. The Hildorian growled, displaying a double row of long, sharp teeth. He lunged again, but this time managed to clamp a mechanical hand onto Adam's left bicep, creating a spasm of pain throughout his arm and up to his shoulder. In defense, Adam reached across with his free hand and violently ripped the clamp from his arm, breaking the thin metal from its joints. Bundet screamed as his own flesh and blood hand, attached to the mechanical appendage, twisted while bones snapped. Out of desperation, the alien countered with a swipe of the other mechanical arm, catching Adam hard against the side of his head. The human dropped to his knees, temporarily stunned. Bundet stepped forward and planted his metal-encased left leg into Adam's chest. The human was sent flying backward in the light gravity, falling heavily against the wooden dresser next to the bed. Bundet ran forward. Adam pushed off the dresser, and the two combatants crashed into each other in the center of the room. Adam scrambled to the top of the suit's metal frame and began ripping at the upper cage above Bundet's head. Metal bars broke from their joints as Bundet's mechanical arms flailed wildly, attempting to pull Adam from atop the cage. After a moment, Adam dropped down behind the exosuit and ripped the power cords from the battery pack. The servos fell quiet, and the alien crime boss found himself trapped in the suit, unable to operate it with his own feeble strength. He stopped struggling and watched as Adam casually moved back in front of him. Adam shook his head.
You don't have any idea what you're up against, do you?
The alien's bottom lip trembled. He didn't answer.
This is what I do. I kill aliens for a living. And I'm very good at it.
Adam reached out and clamped his right hand around the alien's neck. He squeezed, feeling and hearing the crunch of bone and cartilage as Bundet's windpipe collapsed. In another moment, it was over. Adam Cain, alien assassin, had fulfilled another contract. After a brief moment of contemplation, Adam gathered up his backpack and recovered his MK-47, just as he became aware of the wailing of alarms outside the building. How long they'd been sounding he couldn't tell. His mind had been on other matters. He didn't panic. Although the guards were aware of his presence, all Adam had to do now was get out of the compound. The windows of the bedroom were shuttered and the exterior walls of the building made of stone, leaving his only escape route through the bedroom door. Gripping his .47 firmly in his right hand, he flung open the door and came face to face with two guards, just as shocked to see them as they were to see him. With lightning-quick reactions, Adam blasted the first alien through the chest with a bolt from the MK, while simultaneously swinging his left fist at the second guard. To his surprise, his fist sank all the way through the guard's skull and exited out the backside, effectively hooking the alien's head onto Adam's forearm, all in a bloody spray of brains and shattered bone. Damn. What else could go wrong? Just then a shower of bolt streaks filled the hallway, as another group of armed guards appeared to his right. Adam needed a new exit strategy. One of the advantages of living on a low-gravity world was that construction didn't have to be as strong and sturdy as it did on a heavy-gravity planet, such as Earth. Even though atoms were atoms everywhere in the universe, the strength of the compounds and building materials varied from world to world. What Adam had discovered about construction on Hildoria, and Bunnet's house in particular, was that everything was essentially built of material about as strong as balsa wood and popsicle sticks. So he jumped across the hallway, through the blaze of energy bolts, and with little effort smashed through the opposite wall, dragging with him the dead alien still stuck on his arm. After stumbling through a fallen metal shelving unit, Adam discovered he was in the kitchen area of the building. He ran off between rows of preparation tables, still saddled with the alien corpse on his arm. At that moment he recalled the words of Riyad Tarazi, the human leader of the Fringe Pirates, who had told him humans are the supermen of the galaxy. As he feverishly tried to dislodge the lifeless guard from his arm, Adam was pretty sure Clark Kent never had to deal with a problem like this. Eventually, the bloody body slipped from his arm. Adam holstered the .47 and pulled the flash rifle from across his back. He whipped the weapon around and sprayed a barrage of bolts at the guards entering through the hole in the wall behind him. He continued the sweep, blasting more holes in the walls, cabinets, and other aliens, kitchen staff he reckoned, in a full circle around him. The sights and sounds were deafening of crumbling ceiling panels, burning wallboard, and wailing creatures. Fires flared up, from grease, gas, fabric, and burning wood. It all added to the confusion Adam was hoping to create. He was out of the kitchen a moment later, blasting his way across a large dining area. More guards came rushing headlong into the hall, causing Adam to wonder how many of them Bunnet had on the grounds. There seemed to be a lot more than when he first surveilled the compound a few days ago. Oh well, just more score to rack up. Adam felt a heavy thud hit his back. He flew forward and fell, sliding face first several feet on the polished stone floor. He'd taken a bolt to the back but was relieved to find that his makeshift diffusion screen had saved him. Plasma weapons fired balls of concentrated electricity, and Adam had fashioned a series of wires sewn onto the exterior of his pressure suit. Not as strong or long-lasting as a full-fledged diffusion screen, his experiments had shown that the electric charge would dissipate along the wires, heating them up and melting the wires, but also lessening the impact of the bolt. The concussion still knocked him off his feet, but that was about the extent of the damage. The drawback: the wire mesh was only good for one bolt. The next one could prove fatal. He rolled on his back as he slid along the floor, aiming his flash rifle between his legs at the three guards behind him. His aim was true, and the bolts from the powerful energy rifle had a devastating effect on the thin-boned Hildorians. He was on his feet a second later and running for the main exit from the house. The ornate, double front doors were made of metal, so instead of barreling through them, Adam jumped and crashed through the thin glass transom window above the doors. The 7 remaining guards stationed on the landing outside weren't expecting this. As he soared over them, they did their best to follow his flight with their weapons, but like most aliens, their shots came slow and several feet behind. Landing softly on the brick walkway leading to the entrance, Adam rolled once and came up on one knee. With the flash rifle married to his chin, he sent a stream of bolts into the guards, literally ripping them apart at close range. He remained in shooting stance, scanning the front of the building, his movements and those of his rifle acting as one. When satisfied there were no further threats facing him, he rose to his feet. Even through the crackling of the fire taking hold within the building, there was a strange silence. No creature stirred, and if any were left alive, they chose to stay indoors and face the fire, rather than the deadly human outside. It was a wise move. His boonie hat was still held in place by the snug cord under his chin. Now he pulled the hat down a little tighter and shouldered his rifle. After a slight nod, he turned and strolled casually down the long driveway, his solitary silhouette illuminated by the lashing fire now fully engulfing the building behind him. Mission accomplished. This has been an excerpt from Alien Assassin, Book 2 of the Human Chronicles Saga, by T.R. Harris. You can find the complete series on Amazon.com. Click the link in the description or search T.R. Harris on Amazon. You can also check out my website at bytrharris.com. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Your support is greatly appreciated. All material on this channel is human-generated, except for the associated artwork which was created through AI. Check out my 70-plus novels on Amazon. Beginning over 12 years ago, I was one of the original authors of HFY material, showing humans as the supermen of the galaxy. My goal was to turn every nerd living in their parents' basement into a superman or woman simply because they were human. All my stories carry that same theme. Humans fuck yeah. All material on this channel is original and written by author T.R. Harris. Copyright by Tom Harris Creations, LLC.